country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Thank you for watching the Citizens Report. My name is William Donahue. For today's show, I have a section about Trump, a section about Russia, Ukraine, and China, and that whole conflict, climate change, health, illegals, and some news about policies having to do with the trans LGBTQ movement, and kind of an interesting take on a new law that's being passed, so you'll have to hang out till the end to see that one. Before I get into this, please like and share this video. Also, subscribe to my channel, check out my YouTube shorts, check out my TikTok. The link is in the description on my channel page. And with that said, I'm going to get into this. Now, the first couple articles here about Trump are some new revelations, and then I'm going to kind of break down a little bit of what's come out about the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. So Trump picked J.D. Vance as his vice president. Not too sure how I feel about this yet. Obviously, the internet is going to take old clips and play it and, you know, try and spin things that he said, or try and take one idea and, you know, paint that as who he is. So J.D. Vance is yet to really prove himself to me. Kind of an interesting background with him also, his rise into politics, and I don't know. But that's still unfolding, so I don't really want to comment on it too much for the sake of accuracy. But we'll see, you know, what kind of a voice he provides. And we'll also see in the debate against Kamala Harris, I don't think it'll be much of a competition, but I do think that it will show us who he really is. Not that anyone has to worry about Kamala Harris being strong at debating, but we will see. Breaking: Judge Cannon dismisses Trump classified docs case. Rules Biden DOJ appointment of Jack Smith is unconstitutional. So that's a big thing that came out, I think, 2 days after the assassination attempt. That's something that has to be done by Congress. So Jack Smith was just basically a random guy acting as special counsel. Okay, so now, switching off from that, back to the Trump assassination attempt, the FBI took the lead in the Trump assassination attempt. Not only just the FBI, but the Pittsburgh office of the FBI, who was also the same field office that dealt with the Hunter Biden case and about his laptop and a bunch of other things that have been controversial in the past. So that field office has taken over the investigation. Apparently they cracked open Thomas Crook's phone and are either yet to release anything or haven't found anything substantial on his phone. Now, it's hard to believe that a political activist like this wouldn't have a social media account and things, you know, leading to a motive and all that stuff. Obviously, the motive was to kill Trump, but, you know, deeper manifesto type things. You'd think that somebody who believed in something this strongly would at least have a Facebook account with some not so normal comments or whatever. This article here tells you what he did, Thomas Crooks, for 24 hours before the rally shooting. So the day before the assassination attempt, he went to a gun range that was 200 yards long. He target practiced. He bought 50 rounds of ammo, and he stopped at a Home Depot to buy a ladder so that he could climb on the roof. All prior in the 24 hours prior to the assassination attempt. So then this. Snipers saw Matthew Crooks before Trump shooting report. One of the snipers inside saw Thomas Matthew Crooks outside and looking up at the roof, observing the building. Crooks came back, sat down, and looked at his phone. At that point, one of the snipers took a picture of him. Crooks took out a rangefinder, and the sniper radioed to the command post. The snipers called in with information that he had a backpack and said he was walking towards the back of the building. So all this happened 30 minutes before he ever pulled the trigger. Thomas Matthew Crooks was spotted on a roof by law enforcement nearly 30 minutes before attempted Trump assassination. Crooks was seen at least twice by members of the Emergency Services Unit team of Beaver County 26 minutes before he rained bullets on the Pennsylvania rally crowd, wounding former President Donald Trump and two others and killing an ex-fire chief. Another source told the outlet that a law enforcement officer spied Crooks on the rally grounds, called it in as a suspicious man. The officer, including his own photo with the report. About 26 minutes after the ESU's member's photo was presented to law enforcement, Crooks opened fire from the building rooftop before being killed seconds later by Secret Service sniper. So for 26 minutes, this guy was allowed to lay on top of a roof at a vantage point, a sniping vantage point, and he was spotted. It was called in. They continued to let Donald Trump speak, and he ended up pulling the trigger, luckily missing. But how in the world is this possible? How does it get called into the radio and the Secret Service doesn't immediately go, red alert, get the president down, So, that is officially being reported. That's not a conspiracy theory. So, it says here that Mayorkas denied repeated requests for more Secret Service protection for Trump, GOP lawmakers say. So they denied him extra Secret Service. They, acted confused. They didn't have, at the least, they didn't have a good strategy for protecting the grounds. And at the most, they denied him more Secret Service and then stood down the Secret Service to allow this to be carried out. That part of it is speculation, but the facts of there being a denial of more backup Secret Service and 26 minutes in between the reporting of seeing the shooter on the roof, range finding the president. You're actually looking through a rangefinder to judge the distance so you could more accurately shoot. What else do they think a rangefinder is for? First of all. Second of all, you see him with a rangefinder, then you see him fiddle around with a gun, pull the trigger. That is fair enough judgment to say, this guy's not just watching the rally, he's planning on disrupting the rally, at which point you prosecute the target. So, it's up, the facts will come out. It's up to you right now to create your own opinion. But the only speculation here is that, A plus B equals C. This thing seems like it was allowed to happen, or that at least it was a lapse in judgment or whatever they want to say, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because even someone like me with no military background who is, sitting at home can figure out that there should have been a guy on that roof or a guy on the water tower. I'm not sure if there was or not, but there was a high water tower. Water towers are always the highest point nearby, so that the water flows downhill. Gravity feeds the water. The water tower is the highest point. That's a vantage point. So you should have guys there. You should have guys here. If the guys here say there's a tree in the way, I can't see that other rooftop, then put guys on the other rooftop, fly a drone. You could buy a drone on Amazon for, I don't know, let's say a halfway decent drone with a video camera, $150. That might even be an overestimate. You could buy that on Amazon.com, but our Secret Service can't fly one of those or two of them around and constantly check the perimeter, notice something suspicious, and, have eye in the sky resource like that. Ukraine, this is my Russia, Ukraine, China section. Ukraine so desperate for new troops that Zelensky is now drafting prisoners to fight in his war. So I think that this article says that Russia was doing the same thing. Basically, Ukraine is getting desperate, and I believe Russia has exhausted what military they've put forward to a certain extent. So hopefully that's deterrent enough to stop this war. Trudeau pledges another $500 million to Ukraine as Canada military suffers. So Canada's military is underfunded, apparently, according to this article. But they pledged $500 million, which is like chump change compared to what we've been given Ukraine. They pledge another $500 million towards Ukraine, so this conflict is still much alive. Then China and Russia, this is in the South China Sea, China and Russia start joint naval drills days after NATO allies called Beijing a Ukraine war enabler. So NATO summit, basically what China and Russia are claiming is that the NATO summit, this drill was in response to that. Now, this is in the South China Sea, and there's plenty of other conflicts going on. Meanwhile, we have conflict going on in Israel that's partially connected to this because of Russia's relationship with Iran and because of the United States' relationship with Israel. So we have basically 3, 4, 5 potential fronts of a war involving over 20 countries, a rough estimate, 20 countries potentially that could get drug into this. Well, probably more than that. I believe NATO hosted, Joe Biden hosted 32 member countries. I might be off on that. I believe he hosted 32 member countries of NATO at the summit, and then proceeded to say that Ukraine was going to eminently be a part of NATO. So Russia and China do a joint naval drill. BRICS announces plan to form a parliament. So you're seeing a separate massive alliance that, like the EU or like NATO or like the UN, would conjoin a lot of countries, BRICS being Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia, and South Africa. And there's a bunch of other countries that are looking to sign up or have signed up, but creating a parliament between them. So it's basically another power in the world to compete with the US/UK ruled system of sanctions and all the things that these nations have complained about being under the petrodollar. So the U.S., this is going into Israel now, part of the same conflict, like I said. U.S. built $230 million floating pier in Gaza, shut down after 2 months. So the floating pier that they built it, and it broke off and floated away to sea. And now basically they're just reporting that they're not going to use it at all. $230 million of U.S. taxpayer money. One article here about climate change. It says the vanishing islands that failed to vanish. So they're talking about islands that were predicted to fall below sea level or disappear due to climate change. And basically, this prediction never came true. In fact, the coastline has never been changed. Same with New York City, same with Florida and Louisiana and all those places still stand. I think at one point they said that California would be underwater. So basically, the predictions of climate change and the science that they've based it off of has told people since the 70s at least that there was going to be another ice age, there was going to be global warming, climate change, all these different things. And basically, we're yet to see any of these doomsday predictions. Like Greta Thunberg had to take her one Facebook post down. I think she said that the world would be over by 2023 or something along those lines. And she took it down because we're still here. So this is the health section. Relationship of urinary glyphosate concentrates with glycosylated hemoglobin and diabetes in adults across sectional study. So what they're saying here is that glyphosates, which are sprayed onto wheat plants as a pesticide, are related to diabetes and glycosylated hemoglobin. So things like this happen all the time. Now our medical system and our FDA food system, all these systems can't figure out how to solve diseases and problems and issues. But what they can figure out how to do is say, you're too far gone, you need to sign up for medical assistance in dying. So over 15,000 Canadians volunteered to be euthanized in 2023. That is disgusting. That shows a lack of hope that people have for bettering themselves and becoming something. That 15,000 people are willing to throw away their lives because a doctor told them, we can't cure that or whatever. And also, just bad messaging. Someone who relied on the medical system, was never cured, didn't have any alternative, and ended up being euthanized. Each individual case is a sad thing. So, Stalin said that one man is a tragedy, one death is a tragedy, 10,000 is a statistic. Let's not let these people be a statistic. 15,000 people euthanized by the Canadian government is a lot of people, and a lot of human beings, a lot of people who, just like me and you, look through our eyes, breathe air, hear things. I'm trying to put you in their shoes, and at one point, what they were experiencing was so hopeless that they volunteered to be euthanized and are no longer with us. So that is a very sad thing. 15,000 individuals just like yourself. So going on to illegal immigrants, nearly 1 out of 3 Australians is of foreign origin now. This is the government integration report published last week that shows 27.2% of residents are of foreign origin. They say the replacement theory, what they mean is replacement migration. It's official UN policy, and this is an example of that metastasized or materialized. Germany. Moroccan migrant pushes 55-year-old passenger to his death at famed train station. He had just been released by police for assault and pickpocketing. So this is an illegal immigrant who is not allowed to be in the country. 10 years ago, that would have been cause for deportation or whatever else. So 1, an illegal immigrant. 2, assaulted someone and pickpocketed someone, released back into the population, and then goes out and pushes a guy in front of a train to his death. So that's very disgusting. I mean, anyone's capable of doing something like this, but we've been seeing over and over again reports of migrants doing these acts and carrying out these type of murders and crimes. So now, in response to this whole conflict, I think Panama is fed up with it. Panama cracks down on Darien Gap migrant trail, U.S. to pay for deportations. So Panama's new president has started following through on his promise of cutting off a major avenue used by migrants bent on entering the United States. So here I've got a map of North America. So right here is the country Panama, and obviously it's the connection, it's the travel route up to the United States for these illegal immigrants. So basically right here is Panama. The Panama president is planning on cutting off this route, ultimately cutting off the route for illegals to travel into the United States, which doesn't give them any reason to travel to Panama, which solves Panama's problem. So they're going to crack down on the Darien Gap and get the U.S. to pay for deportations. That's kind of like Trump was saying he was going to have Mexico build the wall. Kind of similar to that, and I'm not sure how they're going to get that done, but I do agree with shutting down the Darien Gap. So then my last 2 articles here are about things that have come out of the LGBTQ movement. Swiss teen taken into care after parents object to puberty blockers. So parents objected to puberty blockers. Now, because of this movement, they've passed things, policies or rules or laws. I'm not sure what Switzerland has specifically, but basically they wanted to give this kid puberty blockers, and the parents said no. The government took the kid into custody, and they are going to be giving him or the puberty blockers against the parents' consent. So that's a big deal. Things like this, a parent teaches their kid the right from wrong. The government has no place, basically, in my opinion, making these decisions over a parent. And then woke activists in California complain about harsher punishments for pedophiles. The bill in question is Senate Bill SB 1414, authored by Republican State Senator Shannon Grove and co-authored by Democratic State Senator Ana Caballero and Susan Rubio. So this is a quote from someone who was against the passage of this bill. This bill basically would make it a felony to accept a minor as a prostitute. So it says, under SB 1414, solicitation of sex acts from minors will be considered a felony. So here's the opposition. We are particularly concerned that the harsher penalties proposed in this bill will disproportionately impact marginalized communities, especially members of the LGBT community who already suffer from systemic biases within the criminal justice system, particularly when it comes to sexually based offenses. LGBTQ people, particularly gay, transgendered individuals, are more likely to be charged with sexual offenses. For instance, LGBTQ people are 9 times more likely to be charged with sodomy, so their complaints are harsher penalties and disproportionately impact marginalized communities. So basically what this person is saying is that this is how I interpret it. This person is saying that because LGBTQ people commit more sex crimes, the penalties should be lower to help them out, which I'm not really understanding. So basically, gay, straight, old, white, black, male, female, whoever you are, if you if you solicit sex acts from a minor, that should be a felony. That should be a felony charge. There should be more of a punishment for anything having to do with sexuality and a minor. We should be protecting kids, and we should be protecting their innocence. And anyone who does that, the Bible says, anyone who harms a child should be thrown into the sea with a millstone tied around their neck. So that's not a biblical concept. That's not a Christian concept. That's a common sense concept that kids are innocent. Therefore, harming them should come along with more harsh of a sentence than something pertaining to an adult that 1, can defend themselves, 2, can make their own decisions, and 3, might have experienced things and done things to get to that point. A kid, was put there by someone or drug into it, can't make their own decisions, can't defend themselves, so therefore it should be more of a punishment. It should be a felony. So that's all I have for you today, guys. I hope you like the show, and please like and share and subscribe, and thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching The Citizens Report with William Donahue. On this show, we search for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the world around us through the lens of an American citizen.